The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Darlington for a throwback race, and we see a lot of attrition, a lot of wrecks, and a very controversial finish where a driver moves a driver and dumps a driver out of the way to pick up the first victory of 2022. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Darlington, race with the Goodyear 400. We got a lot to talk about from this race. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So, before the green flag drop into this race, a lot of drivers would have to go to the rear of the field. Kevin Harvick, BJ, and Clyde went to the rear for unapproved adjustments who really were not able to qualify anyways. And Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott would also have to go to the rear as well. Chase Elliott, who was in a backup after crashing and qualifying yesterday, he would have to go to the rear of the field. And also, competition caution was scheduled for lap 30. So on the start of the race, he had Joey Logano lead the field from the inside and Kyle Larson on the outside. And Kyle Larson was able to get around Joey Logano for the race lead and was able to take the lead. A few laps into the race, we see the first caution race come out lap number 3 for Brad Keselowski, spun off some contact from turn number 2. There was a big checkup that happened for Corey LaJoie that I think came from Denny Hamlin. Corey LaJoie had some contact basically checking up, and Chase Elliott ran into the back of Brad Keselowski unintentionally, but this bring out the first caution in this race. We go back racing a lap in the race with Kyle Larson leading the field from the outside and Joey Logano on the inside. And Kyle Larson was able to get the race lead and dominate the next portion of this race. And then the competition caution will come out lap 32 of this race, and everyone came down pit road. Kurt Busch is running 5th at a time. When he came down pit road, he would have a major issue on pit road where the left rear was not tight, and the tire basically came off the pit box. Luckily for them, though, they caught it before he came off pit road, so I'm not sure if there's going to be penalties for the 45 team or not. I would presume there's not going to be any 4-race suspensions coming for that team since they were able to catch it before they went off pit road, so that should not be an issue. So on the restart of Kyle Larson, Joey Logano lead the field from the outside because Joey Logano actually won the race off pit road, and Kyle Larson on the inside, and Joey Logano was able to get the race lead and lead at this point. Kyle Larson caught out to Joey Logano and tried to get the lead from Logano, but because of the dirty air situation in this race, he could not pass Joey Logano, and Kyle Busch got around him. And then we see J.J. Elliott get into the outside wall, have to come down pit road. He lost a couple laps due to tire going down and major issues on the car, and he would come down pit road. The next caution race come out lap 55 for the guy that dominated the early portion of this race, Kyle Larson, who spun off a turn 4 after battling Kyle Busch hard for the second position. He was faster than Kyle Busch and was trying to get around him and would get loose under Kyle Busch and bring out the caution in this race. We see the leaders all come down pit road with Joey Logano winning the race off pit road. So on the restart, I have Joey Logano lead the field from the outside and Kyle Busch on the inside. And we saw a really good battle for a couple laps between Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. Side by side, back and forth battling for the lead. But eventually, a few laps later, Kyle Busch drives into the inside of Joey Logano going up the track in turn number 1 and was able to get the race lead. But then eventually, as he got farther into the run, Kyle Busch's car really started falling off, and Ross Chastain and Joey Logano really started catching. And with around 10 laps to go in the stage, Joey Logano passed Kyle Busch to basically take the lead, and he would hold off a hard-charging Ross Chastain to win stage number 1 here at Darlington. We then see how leaders come down pit road. Joey Logano actually continuing to lead as Christopher had a bad pit stop as well, and Austin Dillon will be penalized for speeding as well. So on the restart, you have Joey Logano lead the field from the outside and Kyle Busch on the inside, and Joey Logano was able to clear. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson, who already had problems in this race, he would end up going to the garage due to having some major engine troubles and unfortunately fall out of the race. That's a really big shame because Kyle Larson had a really, really good car today. Probably the best car in early portions of this race. It was fast yesterday in practice. It's just a shame this guy really seems to cannot have any good luck right now, but unfortunately would fall out of this race. And then we start seeing some green flag pit stops with Joey Logano leading. We start seeing some green flag pit stops. Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney would come down pit road. Then Austin Cindric and Daniel Hemrick. And then all the leaders will come down pit road. And Mark Truex Jr., because he had such a better pit stop than Joey Logano, he actually basically had the lead after the cycle had been completed and was able to pull away from Joey Logano. And Joey Logano actually lost a ton of spots on pit road as well. We keep going green for a long time, and then we'd see basically Corey LaJoie have some trouble where he hit the outside wall really, really hard exiting turn number 2, and unfortunately would have to go down to the garage and end his race, unfortunately. Then Tyler Reddick, who's running second at the time, was having multiple vibrations on the car and would have to come down pit road to basically fix those issues. And then Mark Truex Jr. was held up by Austin Dillon, and Ross Chastain basically challenged Mark Truex Jr. for the lead. Truex is basically holding on to the lead, and then Ross Chastain a few laps later got around Mark Truex Jr. to keep the race lead. Then we saw Brad Keselowski get loose a lap later. We see the next caution race come out between Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski was actually maintaining, trying to get, basically say, the first car a lap down. He had a tire go down and got into the outside wall really, really hard. And Kyle Busch had nowhere to go and would bring out the caution in this race. Kyle Busch should park his car on pit road. Basically, remember what happened the last time what happened on pit road. Remember, he drove through the cones last time and got a $50,000 fine. Kyle Busch also basically could not turn the car into the garage and basically did not go in there, basically had to wait a few laps for his car to get out. Unfortunately for Kyle Busch, he had a really fast rocket ship today. And then we would see green flag, basically see the pit stops happen. Ross Chastain continue to lead after the pit stop. So on the restart, you have Ross Chastain lead the field from the outside and Mark Truex Jr. on the inside. And Ross Chastain was able to clear Mark Truex Jr. for the race lead and was able to pull away and dominate for a little bit and win stage 2 here at Darlington Raceway. We see all leaders come down pit road on lap 191 in this race, with them all taking 4 tires, and Denny Hamlin would actually have been having a really good day, will win the race off pit road. On the restart, you have Denny Hamlin lead the field with the grid from the outside, and Ross Chastain on the inside. They're battling on going into turn number 2, and Ross Chastain gets high up on the track, has some contact with Denny Hamlin, and was spit into the inside wall really, really hard on the backstretch, bringing out the caution in this race. Just a simple incident. Sometimes this can happen on these restarts with transition to the newer, basically, pavement, because they repaved the pavement, some of that pavement on the backstretch. He hit the inside wall really, really hard, and unfortunately would end his day. And then we go back green on lap 200 of this race with Denny Hamlin leading the field from the outside and Joey Logano on the inside. And Joey Logano got a really, really strong run and was able to pass Denny Hamlin for the race lead. And then we started seeing some green flag pit stops happen. Alex Bowman came down pit road first, then Kevin Harvick, then Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Blaney. And then the rest leaders, some of the other leaders, would come down pit road with Joey Logano and William Byron, the 2 best cars late in this race, would come down pit road. Then a lap later, we see Chase Briscoe get into the outside wall really, really hard, was able to keep going and make it to pit road, and the caution would not come out for that. And then, meanwhile, the broadcast really didn't talk about it until around 30 laps after the incident happened, but Chase Elliott actually had come down pit road and was one of the fastest cars late in this race, but basically was coming up to speed, and he spun out exiting pit road and lost a ton of positions. Luckily, he was able to keep going and now fell out of this race. Then we see Denny Hamlin, who was leading at the time. He basically got into that while scraping the turn 2 wall, and Mark Truex Jr. and Cristobal basically got the race lead away from him. Daniel Suarez had a really, really bad pit stop, and then Tyler Reddick, meanwhile, actually passed Joey Logano for the race lead, with Tyler Reddick actually leading after the cycle had happened. Well, Tyler Reddick having to lead, looks like he's potentially going to win this race. And then with around 40 laps to go, the caution comes out for Alex Bowman, who hit the outside wall really, really hard and basically having to go to the garage with the tires down. That would be the end of his chances to be competitive and would fall out of this race. And then we see all leaders come down pit road a lap later, with Joey Logano winning the race off pit road, with Denny Hamlin having a horrendous sub, dropping from 7th to 18th, and then Austin Dillon would get penalized for speeding. It seems like Denny Hamlin cannot finish in the top 10 in these races. He has one of the best cars in the race, and seems like he cannot finish in the top 10. On the restart with around 32 or 33 laps to go, we would have the restart with Joey Logano leading from the outside and William Byron on the inside, and also Tyler Reddick was also on the outside as well. Joey Logano would get a really good start and actually clear for the race lead, but Mark Truex Jr. basically checked up off of turn number 2 and got put 3 wide into the corner with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Mark Truex Jr. Stenhouse would have some contact, and multiple drivers would get involved in a major, major wreck on the backstretch. Bubba Wallace, Kurt Busch, Cole Custer would all get major, major damage. Eric Jones also got involved in the wreck, and also Denny Hamlin had some contact along with Chase Elliott and a couple other guys that would get involved in the wreck. Really tough break for the 23-11 guys. They had great runs going today, and unfortunately they both got taken out after having really, really good runs. And then those guys would go down to basically went down to pit road, but unfortunately they fell out of the race. So on the restart, you have Joey Logano lead the field from the outside and William Byron on the inside. And Joey Logano basically got into the outside wall with them battling hard for the race lead. And William Byron was able to clear for the race lead. And it looks like that William Byron is going to run away with this thing with Logano and Reddick trying to battle for second. But all of a sudden, with around 10 laps to go, Joey Logano really starts to make some major, major inroads on William Byron. It seemed like Logano had the best car really in this race and was really starting to catch William Byron here late. And we're down 3 or 4 laps to go. Joey Logano was within about 0.4 of a second on William Byron. Coming to 2 laps to go, Joey Logano was near the back bar of William Byron after he got off the corner really, really bad And Joey Logano would make one of the most dirty and aggressive moves we've seen all season. He would get into the back of William Byron, sending him hard into the outside wall. Would not see the caution come out for it, but Joey Logano would pass William Byron. Then it came down to a finish between Joey Logano and Tyler Reddick. We would see Joey Logano basically pull away from Tyler Reddick. Reddick was trying to catch, but it did not happen. And after his really controversial move and William Byron having his tire goes down, Joey Logano, after having the most laps led all day, he comes off the corner and picks up his first victory of the 2022 season and becomes the 10th driver to lock his spot up into the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. In my opinion, throughout this race, Joey Logano's car looked like to be the best. Yes, the points kind of fell back, but his car looked really strong in this race and probably had the best car. It's very questionable. He deserves it, though, because of the controversial move. And I want to talk about that move really quickly. I understand that Logano wants to get a win really bad. It's been over a year since Joey Logano had last one. But that was a little bit of an aggressive and a little bit of a dirty move, in my honest opinion. Yes, I'd say that sometimes with some of the moves we've seen, but that's the last lap of the race. If you'd done it on the last lap of the race, I could let that move slide. But Logano just straight up dragged him up in the corner and put him in the outside wall and had his tires cut down. And Joey Logano is known for that. We know that Joey Logano is going to make some moves. William Byron was not happy on pit road after that, and justifiably so. He basically called him an idiot and a moron. I'm surprised Byron didn't go punch him in the face after that and didn't try to beat him up after that. I wonder if there was some talking after that happened. But in my honest opinion, I think Joey Logano was clearly in the wrong in that situation. If Byron's pissed off at him and we see some retaliation, I don't blame him. Joey Logano's done a lot of things throughout his career, and I know that Logano is a guy that's looking for a win. And Logano's, again, in my opinion, Joey Logano's at fault for the incident. We'll talk about this incident later in the week, but in my opinion, Joey Logano's in it wrong for it, but at the same time, he's trying to win a race. So now, finally, let's go through the results and talk about the race as a whole. So Joey Logano picks up the victory. Tyler Reddick finished second. Pretty nice comeback for Tyler Reddick today, considering at one point Tyler Reddick was, I think, a lap down at one point, had tire issues early. Bounces back to very solid top 5 run. Much needed run from Tyler Reddick, especially after the last couple weeks where he's finished horrendously. That should put him right around the playoff cutoff line right now. Good run for him. He finishes second. Justin Haley gets a top 5. Justin Haley really came out of nowhere today. I saw him really slowly but surely making progress up to the field, but a lot of straights he was outside the top 20. But as the race progressed, he was starting to make his way up to the front. And at the end of the day, it's where he finishes what counts, and really good run for him. He finishes in third. Kevin Harvick finishes fourth. A great run from Kevin Harvick today. A guy really is going to be desperately needing a win here sooner or later if guys behind him start winning races. And he was really struggling early, but the car seemed to come into him near the end of the race and gets a very solid top 5 finish. Good run from Kevin Harvick. Chase Elliott finished this fifth. Chase Elliott had to start at the rear of the field today and gets another top 5 finish. Second straight top 5 for Chase Elliott and only his third top 5 of the year, but this should pull him way into the championship lead. Good run from Elliott. He finishes in fifth. Chris Bell finished sixth. Chris Bell continues to knock off top 5s and top 10s every single week, and that's going to help him contend for a regular season championship. I think a win is coming for that 20 team. He's looked really good the last 6 or 7 weeks. He's definitely a guy that's been performing great, and he's now finishes 6th. How about Michael Mcdowell finishing 7th? I got to say this. Michael Mcdowell, the last 4 weeks, this guy has been finishing in the top 20 the last 4 weeks. We really kind of wrote off Michael Mcdowell as being a playoff contender, but he's been performing really good here the last 2 weeks. Would not shock me Michael Mcdowell has a shot at being a contender for the playoffs. He looked really good today. Good run for him. He finishes 7th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with another top 10 run. Stenhouse is starting to finally get a couple good runs here. A good top 10 run for him today. Strategy definitely helps Stenhouse finish in the top 10. He's really never been that great here at Darlington throughout his career, but does get a good top 10 finish. Good run from him in 8th. Austin Dillon finished 9th. Solid comeback after a speeding penalty in this race. Austin looked like it really didn't have a great car most of the day, but a top 10 run is all you can ask for. Good run from him in 9th. And Daniel Suarez finishes 10th. Suarez really looked good in the later portions of his race, but I think he had an issue late in the race and got some damage in that big one, which I think really affected his car. But does get a top 10 finish. That's his first top 10 finish, I believe, since the Auto Club earlier this year. So he really needed that run. Good run from Daniel Suarez. Eric Almirola finished 11th. He continues to click off top 15s and top 10s every week. I think at some point he's going to have to start contending a little bit more because guys are picking off wins quicker, but does get a very solid top 12 finish in this race. Ty Dillon finishes 12th, carrying the Petty GMS organization. Very solid top 15 run for Ty Dillon. He ran a top 20 in a lot of this race, especially too, so good run from Ty Dillon today. William Byron, after his issues, finishes 13th. Byron definitely was most of the day the best HMS car after Larson's issues in this race. Did have a car that could have contended for the victory, but that contact and that kind of BS move Logano made near the end of the race relegates him to 13th. Unfortunately for Byron, I think a win's coming here later in the year. Harrison Byrne gets a top 15. I believe that's Harrison Byrne's first top 15 of the season. He was up there near the end of the race and was quietly having a decent day overall. Never ran outside of top 25 all day, so good top 15 for him. Todd Gillen finished his 15th. Good solid run for Todd Gillen today. The rookies kind of did good today, so good run for Todd Gillen in 15th. Chris Buescher finishes in 16th. Ryan Blaney, after having issues, I believe, finishes in 17th. Austin finishes 18th. Cody Ward gets a solid top 20 run. Solid run from Cody Ward today in 19th. Chase Briscoe finishes 20th. Denny Hamlin finishes 21st. We are a third away through the year, and Denny Hamlin has one top 5 and one top 10 this season and one win this year. Talk about a bad year for Denny Hamlin. He's had a bad year. Landon Castle had a very solid top 25 finish with the Spire Motorsports Group. J.G. Lee finishes 23rd despite his issues. Solid top 25 for the Rick Ware team. Both of them getting the top 25, which is great to see. Mark Trix Jr., after his issues late, he had one of the really best cars early in the run. Finishes 24th. Eric Jones, who looked really strong today, got involved with one of the big wrecks late in the race. He had a good car today. Top 10 most of the day. Would have been huge for the points gap, but does finish 25th. Cole Custer finishes 26th. Bubba Wallace finishes 27th. And also Kurt Busch also finishes 28th. 23-11 today looked really, really strong. Both of them, I think, we're going to get top 10s today. It's a shame that Truex basically lost it out the corner, and they tried to take it 3 wide. Why would you try to take it 3 wide, Cole Custer and Ricky Stenhouse? Don't understand that, but it's just been bad luck for 23-11. They've got some things that really haven't been working, and it looked like things are finally starting to turn around for 23-11, but they finished 27th and 28th. Alex Bowman, after his issues, finishes in 29th. Ross Chastain finishes in 30th. Daniel Hemrick finishes 31st. Daniel Hemrick had an engine problem. It's unfortunate because the last 2 times he's been in that 16 car, he's had some engine issues. BJ McLeod finishes 32nd. His car caught on fire on pit road. Kyle Busch finishes 33rd. Brad Keselowski finishes 34th. 35th for Corey LaJoie. And in finishing last in 36th place is Kyle Larson. So now I overall want to talk about the race as a whole and give you my score of today's race at Darlington. Overall, I will say I thought this race was pretty good. The beginning was a little bit dry in my honest opinion, but as farther we got into the race and as the rubber came into the track, I thought the race got really, really good in my opinion. I thought the racing was great. Yes, it was very, very difficult to pass. It was very hard to pass the leader once the leader got the lead, but it was not you really didn't fall too far behind the leader. If you had a better car than the guys in front of you, you could pass. The guys from the rear were able to get up to the front at points as well. And I thought today's race was very, very solid. It wasn't perfect because dirty air is still a major factor. I wonder if the rear diffuser plays a major factor to that. I'm not really, really sure, but I thought today's race was really, really solid. I'm going to give today's race at Darlington Raceway, overall, I'm going to give it an 8.9 out of 10. I was very close to giving this race a 9 out of 10. I wish a little more action would have happened in some points of this race, but this race is really, really good in my opinion, and I absolutely enjoyed today's race at Darlington, an 8.9 out of 10 for me. So, anyway, that's getting today's race view from Darlington Raceway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, turn notifications to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and follow me on pages as well. Let's get you below over that and comment your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below. And congratulate Joey Logano on picking up his first victory of the 2022 season. Let me know in the comments below. We got Kansas coming up this week. I'm really excited for that race. That'll be the 13th race of the season. So next week, we're going to be halfway through the regular season. We've got a lot of other content we'll be talking about this week on the channel that you should check out. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.